So, throughout the book A Long Way Gone by Ishmael Bea, a constant theme that is referenced is how war affects people in various situations. What do you guys have to say about that?
I think we could highlight the point of which the traumatization affects everyone and how you go through and you can notice their different patterns of behavior throughout the story.
This is one of the easier things for us over here in the Western world to understand because, like in America, we have a lot of veterans that come back, and we can make parallels in the book to maybe our dads or moms or brothers or sisters who come back changed, just like in the book, that affect them for life.
We could also notice how, although it is a shift in government change throughout the book, it does have to deal with civilians and people, and how you notice throughout the story each side thinks they're right no matter what, and they feel attacked by the other individual.
Yeah, it definitely seems that a lot of people don't even want to have anything to do with the war. It seems like at the beginning of the book, many of the people are separated from organized government, and they're just kind of in smaller villages. But then the war hits, and all of a sudden they're wrapped up in something that they know nothing about. And it's really traumatizing for a lot of them.
I want to begin to highlight the trust in relationships in the desperate times, such as the different, communication patterns between each people, such as you look at the way villages can now treat adolescents and many young men and immediately feel they are a threat. However, you could also notice people who have never talked before now instantly relying on each other for each survival.
I think what you could also note is that just in general, trusting each other is extremely difficult, especially when it comes down to the form of, I guess, quote unquote trust that's built just through like a sense of brotherhood in a way of basically killing other people with somebody else. Eh.
That kind of shows how easy they justify violence to themselves after a while. Like at the beginning, there's a constant sense of I want nothing to do with this. This is all terrible. But by the time they've been taken in and converted, I guess you could say, they find plenty of ways to justify it to themselves or just completely ignore the fact in general.
I definitely want to highlight the scene in the rehabilitation center whenever the army boys as well as the rebels came together and neither side could cooperate with one another, and instantly you notice the idolization of violence within the institute as other members brutally attacked one another.
I think another scene that speaks really well to trust is when he's having his dream, and the fact that his buddies did not come back to help him at all, and he was just left there to get repeatedly stabbed by bayonets and practically tortured to death is kind of extremely gruesome. I think it just shows how deep trust goes and how little of it that there was during this time.
Also, during the rehabilitation, it was hard to get the trust of the actual people who went through the war, and to actually get them to go through the rehabilitation process, they had to kind of find different ways to connect through them and to make friends with them before they could get any work.
I do want to highlight the author's use of syntax throughout the story, as he did realize his brainwashing and gone through rehabilitation. His syntax seemed to open up and he became more descriptive as well as open with the audience. The impersonal tone he had been using throughout the story started to subside and he began to become more comfortable.
I'd like to kind of also point out how brainwashing is a big thing that happened to a lot of those kids as they were converted into soldiers. Not even just the kids, adults too. However, it's good to note that not all of them were entirely brainwashed. As he said, after rehabilitation, many of those kids actually went right back into the war because they had nowhere else to go.
And this is going to conclude our podcast on A Long Way Gone, the Memoirs of a Boy Soldier by Ishmael Bea.